Looks like we have 44 people attending, so 45. Okay, we're still going. Well, wait a second. I don't know exactly how many people are supposed to come in. So, all right, 1,001 here. Hi, Julie. Okay, so okay, cool. All right, let's get started here, everybody. First, I want to say thank you. Welcome to our Alumni Leaders Campus Day. We're very excited to have a panel here, even though it's virtually. This program is in collaboration with our Office of Alumni Relations and the College of Hospitality Management. And we're really here to celebrate all of our alumni that do such great things in all of our various industries. We have some amazing alumni here for all of you to listen to, and they'll give you your thoughts and things about the world and what goes on in their industries and how you can better prepare for it. I know that there's lots of experience and inspiring stories. So alumni, I encourage you to share any stories that you would like. But to get this question and answer session off and running, I'll start with a kind of a general question out to everybody, and we can kind of go through the board of people one by one. So alumni, please take a moment to introduce yourselves to the world out there that's listening to us and share your major, your graduation, what year you graduated. If you have more than one degree, please share that, and your current position and a brief description, the elevator speech about what you actually do.
Good morning, everyone.
Oh, go ahead, Damaris. Go ahead.
My brother Arnaldo and I were always, I mean, it's that passion in our blood. Good morning, everyone. My name is Damaris Messina. I am a graduate of Johnson & Wales Providence campus, 2005 International Hotel and Tourism, and I returned in 2014 for my MBA. I see Professor Sakili is in the house. Woohoo! I love my time at Johnson & Wales. It opened many, many doors for me in my career. Today, I am the Director of Sales and Marketing at the new Aloft Providence Downtown Hotel, just down the street from the Providence campus. We opened November 19th with 175 rooms, an amazing rooftop lounge, restaurant, beautiful bar, just really a different by design hotel, part of the Marriott portfolio. It is the second managed Aloft in the Marriott portfolio. Together, Marriott has over 30 brands, and we are operating in over 7,000. We operate over 7,000 hotels. I started my career as a group housing coordinator at the Hilton in Dedham, and through my connections with my professors at Johnson & Wales, Kathy Drohan, I don't know if she's going to be here today. Kathy Drohan opened the door for me to get an interview at the opening hotel, Renaissance Providence Downtown, in 2006. I started my career there in sales, executive assistant, worked my way up the ranks, handled the NFL market for them, worked for the top associations, worked with major corporations. And then I spent 7 amazing years there where I've met many, many great friends, including Arnaldo, who is now my brother, had met some amazing career mentors and coaches. And then Marriott International kind of took me over in 2007. I transitioned into Boston to handle the 7 Boston properties that we had there, including the Copley Marriott, the Cambridge Marriott, Residence Inn, Quincy Marriott, Courtyard Boston Downtown. Since then, we have acquired many, many more since we merged with Starwood. But I kind of transitioned into the Boston market, being an account leader. From there, I became an account leader for the association market in the Northeast. Then I transitioned to the association market for the Mid-Atlantic, working with a lot of the big associations in Washington, D.C. And then I transitioned into the luxury segment, which was handling the top luxury accounts from Marriott International exclusively at the luxury hotels, which are the Ritz-Carlton, the St. Regis, Edition hotels. I mean, I was working with brands like Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Volvo, all over the world, planning their meetings and events, MasterCard, you name it. Johnson & Wales has a very special place in my heart, like I said, not only professionally, but also personally. And I'm just excited to share my story with you today. So thank you, everyone. Go ahead, brother Arnaldo.
Thank you, Damaris, for the kind words. Of course, your performance at the Renaissance and beyond has been, without question, the absolute best. So glad to be a part of the Johnson & Wales community, obviously, and a good friend of yours. My name is Arnaldo. Good morning, everyone. I am the general manager at the Studio Alston Hotel, world famous for Highgate Hotels. I graduated Johnson & Wales in 2009 with a hospitality degree. My first job out of the gate was with Johnson & Wales at the Radisson Hotel down in the Warwick. Through that and connections with the community, I started my career outside of Johnson & Wales at the Renaissance in Providence downtown, similar to Damaris, and working with that group there. We moved around and I took on some responsibilities at the O'Hare Renaissance in Chicago. Boca Raton, we helped reposition and renovate that hotel as well. And then after a few years working with the Renaissance in Providence, I transitioned into Boston, working with Kimpton Hotels in various leadership positions. We actually repositioned that hotel in 2016, 2017 to from a lifestyle brand to a luxury hotel brand. Worked a couple of different leadership positions within Kimpton in a task force capacity. After my time with Kimpton, I found my way to Highgate. If you guys are familiar, Highgate is one of the fastest growing management companies. Actually, we manage more Marriott hotels than any other management company in the world. It's been an exhilarating ride to be in this industry. It's just getting its dust off its shoulders after a pretty rough couple of years. But it's getting more amazing. I just got a note from the CEO of Expedia saying that this is going to be one of the most outstanding summers. So I look forward to your spirited discussions here, guys. I look forward to engaging you and making the best out of this wonderful session.
Thank you, Arnaldo. Monet, why don't you go ahead?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Monet. I attended the Providence campus in the International Hotel and Tourism Management program, graduating in 2014. While on Providence campus, I worked at Hilton Hotel Downtown as a hostess in Shula's, as well as in Brown in their catering department. I did various internships that I got through the career fair at Johnson & Wales, which afforded me the opportunity of working in New York City over the summer each year. After graduating college, I went on to work with Hilton as a housekeeping manager, learning the ins and outs of the housekeeping department, as well as revenue management. From there, I left and went over to Marriott International at the Renaissance New York Times Square as a hotel operations manager, working in food and beverage, housekeeping, as well as front office. I was later promoted to senior room operations manager, overseeing the entire front office operation in the middle of Times Square. And then most recently promoted to director of front office operations at the Philadelphia Marriott Downtown, which is a hotel that has over 1,400 rooms. So very excited to be here with you all today in a virtual space, but looking forward to sharing my story as well.
Thanks, Monet. Lexine, why don't you go next?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Lexine White. I'm currently an account manager for Booking.com. I graduated from the Hotel and Lodging Management program in 2016. I studied abroad with Dale Silva, so I see that she's listening in with her classrooms in Bruges in the summer that I graduated as well, too. So, hello, everyone. When I graduated, I went to Hyatt Hotels down in the Grand Hyatt DFW Airport as a corporate manager in training. From there, I was then promoted into assistant front office manager and then moved up to Baltimore, Maryland for the Hyatt Regency Baltimore Inner Harbor as an assistant executive housekeeper. From there, I decided to move a little bit closer to home and worked for the Four Seasons in Boston, the original property up there, as a hotel assistant manager. Come the pandemic, I decided I was ready for a change and get out of hotel ops and decided to switch over to Booking.com. So currently I'm overseeing about 180 hotels throughout New England, majority in the White Mountains, Cape Cod, and Boston suburb area as well. So I work with everyone ranging from a Motel 6 all the way up into like a Marriott Envoy as well. So quite a bit of a range in the portfolio there. I'm currently getting my MBA with Johnson & Wales in hospitality administration. So I feel your pain with the classes right now too. And so I would say the big thing for me is that Debbie Howarth, one of the professors there, her and I work alongside of each other with HSMAI in Boston. So I'm on the education committee there, and I was most recently voted in to be a rising sales leader for HSMAI in North America. So I'll be contributing with that network. I'm very excited to be able to speak with all of you. Johnson & Wales is near and dear to my heart, so please feel free to ask any questions.
Thanks, Lexi. That's nice. Thank you so much. All right, Abby, tell us your story.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Abby Abdellah. I graduated in 2015 from the Sports, Entertainment, and Event Management. My senior year, I joined IAEE Student Chapter Group, which is the International Association of Exhibitions and Events, and it opened up many doors. I moved to Alexandria, Virginia, right after graduating and started my first job at the ASIS International Association for Security Professionals. As exhibits assistant. So I helped organize the citywide conference that took place in Orlando, Florida, and moved around different major cities and continues to do so. 4 years ago, I left ASIS International and moved over to NDIA, which is the National Defense Industrial Association. So I started there as a manager of exhibits and sponsorships, and I recently was promoted to associate director of exhibits and sponsorships. So my daily job is basically selling exhibits and sponsorships for multiple conferences and implementing all of those things. So it's a lot of operations and sales, a lot of working with people and in different cities, a lot of travel, but I really love what I do and I'm honored to be here today.
Great story. Thank you, Abby. Juliana.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. So I graduated from Johnson & Wales University Providence campus in 2016. I majored in food service management, baking and pastry arts, and a concentration in sports event and entertainment management. I also studied abroad at the École de Casse School in France, ENSP, during my time there. After graduation, I got my first job at NoHo Hospitality Group, which is located in downtown Manhattan. And then from there, I moved over to City National Bank, where I currently work, which is a subsidiary of the Royal Bank of Canada. I started there in the event marketing department, working in the entertainment and sports verticals. And then my most recent role I've moved into is Vice President of Corporate Sponsorships, where I oversee the nation's enterprise-wide sponsorships, which ranges from Los Angeles to our southeast locations of Miami, Atlanta, Nashville, up to New York, DC, and Boston areas.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Juliana.
Absolutely.
Jason, you're next on my list.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jason Magno. I am from Culinary Providence, 1999. And then I have a bachelor's in Hotel Restaurant Institutional Management in 01. From Providence, I went to New York City, worked for the Ruth Chris Group, and helped open up a secondary location in downtown. Once I did that for a few years, I retracted and went back to Westchester County, where I was feeling the overexertion of being in management in New York City, and it's like a marathon. So I took a step back and went into Westchester County, where I decided to take a breath, become just a bartender and a server. And I was discovered by a gentleman named Michael Endico, who is my present employer for Ace Endico Food Distribution. We manage about 15,000 line items daily, and then we have access to about another, I think, about 60,000 with another secondary warehouse. We have accounts that go from New Jersey all the way up to Maine. And I'm recently back in the area in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, because they did purchase the Supreme Dairy, which has been a long time staple in Rhode Island. So my group actually manages from bottom of Rhode Island all the way up into Maine. I have a staff of about 40 now. We're responsible for about $40 million worth of product and sales. It's wonderful. I'm so happy to be back in the area and to be able to contribute back to the university that gave me my start. I have lifelong friends from the schools, And if it wasn't for these contacts that I developed in Johnson & Wales, I would have probably never left Rhode Island and Massachusetts, but they gave me the courage to go visit New York City, and then it just kept going from there. And so taking the buses up and down 95 actually laid the foundation for me learning the roads to what I do now and understanding what it takes to move product up and down the East Coast. And I look forward to hopefully keep in contact with everybody, and however I can help with older alumni, soon to be alumni, and students today, I'd be more than happy to speak about my experiences. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you very much. Aaron.
Good morning, everyone. First, I want to just thank Sean, all the deans, faculty for allowing me to be here today and welcome me back to campus virtually. Incredibly excited to share the stage with a very, very talented group of professionals in the hospitality space here this morning. Graduated from Johnson & Wales University Denver campus 2013. Recipient of Young Distinguished Alumni Award in 2016 at Johnson & Wales. Spent my time playing basketball, part of the Student Alumni Association of Phi Beta Lambda, competing in sports marketing and public speaking. During my time in Johnson & Wales, it was real. Meaning I gave every last thing that I could to be a part of this organization because I believed in this institution, because I believed in the professors, and I believed in the track record that the university had. Sean Daly, who sits on this call, had many of those conversations with me. When I showed up at Johnson & Wales, I thought I was going to be an NBA player on the actual court. After a couple of conversations with Sean Daly, I came to the conclusion that a better route would be a front office executive for an NBA team. I currently am transitioning out to the East Coast from Seattle, Washington, where I was vice president of ticket sales and services, the youngest in the MLS league, now to New York City and Manhattan, where I'll run the strategic approach for our teams and a consultative role, as senior director of strategy, focusing on ticketing, premium, building renovation, and rescale. And fan engagement. I'm really, really excited to chat with you all. I remember being on the other end of this and meeting industry professionals, which ultimately unlocked the door to me. Charlie Chico was one of my adjunct professors that actually, I have a stack over here of all these resumes that have thousands of red marks all over them, who also gave me my first start in the industry. So these calls do mean something. Let's stay in touch and stay connected. Look forward to our time today.
You know, thanks, Aaron, for labeling me Sean Daly, the dream crusher. That's not what we're supposed to do here. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that's a longer story, but it was definitely an impactful moment for sure. Oh, thank you. And to wrap it up for us, Martin, please tell us your story.
Good morning. Like Aaron had said, thank you very much. I do appreciate Lori, and you know, she finds a way to get somebody in contact with me to continue to keep me engaged. So really appreciate that. Johnson & Wales definitely very significant. I came across the college at that point in time. You know, when I went to school for culinary, we had two choices. We either had CIA or Johnson & Wales, and the difference maker for me was Johnson & Wales had a curriculum and so forth that just wasn't surrounded in the culinary spectrum, and I continued to pursue that. So my journey, I started out, I got a degree in business finance from Edinburgh University. When I graduated from there, then I ended up in Johnson & Wales. I got my degree in culinary arts, and then I stuck around as a teaching assistant, and I was very blessed to be teaching assistant and fellow down at the culinary. One of 20 of us that actually had that opportunity. And then I also got my food service hospitality management degree. So if I was really insightful at that moment in time, I would have realized I was about a year and a half away from a master's degree. But 5.5 years of school, including summers, I was kind of done with the 3 degrees that I had. Very blessed. I was recruited out of Johnson & Wales with Hilton Hotels at that time. Ended up down in the DC market, worked there in a multitude of different capacities, finished up their management training program. went back into independent hotels because in the early part of the 90s, there was a downturn in the hotel segment. So obviously the new people were released first. Was very blessed about 2 years later after being back in the culinary arena. I had joined Different Dimensions in Cleveland, Ohio. We took that restaurant to number 6 in the city. And then I was blessed to be the executive culinary lead for Nido Italia down on Murray Hill. And I took that establishment to number 3 in the city. So at that point in time, Hilton called back and I was able to rejoin them. Very blessed to work in the DC market. It's obviously a very governmental influenced arena. I was also blessed that through the connections with Hilton, I became the executive banquet chef at the White House. I've served President Reagan, President Bush Sr., and I worked at the White House under the Clinton administration. From there, I moved to Chicago with the company Levy Restaurants, doing their sports and entertainment marketing. Partner of mine at the time, we launched what most of you probably know is the dessert cart. So we created that through Levy Restaurants. My tenure with that led me with a connection to Starbucks. The vice president of HR with Levy moved over to Starbucks for Chicago, recruited me out. I was their director of food and beverage, helped launch their food program as it is today. Pretty honored that still some of those items, some of those recipes are actually showcased in the stores that you visit this morning. From there, I went back to Hilton, kind of worked my way around, a little bit of a mutt, 17 cities, 29 states. So I've kind of seen the country and there are about a multitude of different continents. I departed Hilton Worldwide when Blackstone purchased them. So those people that are familiar with the equity markets and so forth might know that company. I was running about $1 billion operation for Hilton Worldwide at that time, had a team of 300 around the globe. So the Aloft and so forth, building those hotels, my team really from drywall in around the globe. We finished up all of the brands that we had in the portfolio at that time. Bowed out a little bit, did some consulting, picked up an opportunity with Starwood. So for Starwood, ran about $1.1 billion organization in regards to the supply chain. And then Marriott came in and decided they wanted to add the Starwood portfolio to the company. I bowed out from there and I started what is now called Good Eats Group. So Good Eats Group, we have a multitude of different brands under the organization. As I was sharing earlier, pre-COVID, we had 7 different locations. We were operating at about a $15 million annual basis. Unfortunately, with COVID, some of the landlords had made some very abrupt decisions. We lost a multitude of those properties, but we still, Burger Bar has been rated a top burger restaurant in Chicago. We've been rated by Burger Business as the top 35 in the globe. We were featured in Bon Appetit as the number one burger, and most recently, we just got featured in USA Today as the top 3rd restaurant in Chicago, which is a culinary Epicurean capital for our states that we're very blessed with. So we have a multitude of different things. We're hoping to be able to get back through 22 and return to a growth model.
I think I can say for everybody, wow, that's quite the story, Martin. It's really great to see alumni.
The key to that, if I may, Sean, and Aaron spoke of that, both Damaris and Arnando. I've been very blessed, and it's about mentoring and it's about the community. And you may know the name Stephen Bolobach. He led Disney. He was our CEO that I used to be able to have lunch with, once or twice a week at Hilton. I'd ride the elevator with Baron Hilton. The gentleman I reported to at Hilton, he still writes the non-manufacturing report on business for Powell. And they were just extraordinary people. And that's the community that the Johnson & Wales had. It's interesting. I remember that Johnson & Wales, our mascot was the Griffin, which is this amalgamation of animals, but it really speaks to kind of our community and our industry sector, right? We are the beacon of humanity across the spectrum, because every community, every different type of race, sex, orientation, whatever, we all come together. We have a harmonious environment in the physical plants we operate or the stadiums. And we truly showcase what humanity can do when we all try and take care of one another and focus on really serving the guest experiential journey.
Yep. I think it's okay. We could be done now, right? That's good stuff, Martin. No, I think it's wonderful. I think, you know, this idea around hospitality, we get so focused on it's this job, it's this job, it's this industry, it's this hotel, it's this event, and not understanding from like a 30,000 foot perspective that we are really in this experience business, and we have this amazing opportunity to bring joy and fun and excitement into people's lives, and have a real strong impact on their day-to-day, you know, and small things. And so I think it's, you know, all of us being part of that industry, I think that's probably one of the reasons why we all enjoy this industry. And we get, like I said, we're blessed to be able to do these things for people. So I'm going to lead us into the second question, and not everybody has to answer, but if you feel like you may. The second question is around, you know, the students that are all listening to this right now are really focused on like the next thing, right? Not the 10-year, 15, 20-year plan, but really what's the job they're going to try to get when they first get out? And how does that job bridge into really where you went next? So, you know, your education got you your first job. How did you, what did you get for that first job? How did you leverage that experience and things of that nature to really kind of propel you into the other parts of your career? If you can kind of elaborate on that, that'd be great. Oh, Lexine, you go ahead.
So my first job out of college was being a corporate manager in training for Hyatt. I was given that opportunity because I attended the career fair as well as the recruiter that was on campus. So definitely take advantage of those opportunities. If there's a career fair, a networking event, be there, be ready, be prepared, have your resume, have a business card, have a speech ready for it. When I went and I spoke to the recruiter, that led into an interview process. And then I also had interviews with other companies as well, but it gave me the opportunity to choose which company I felt at that time was the best for me. And then Hyatt was that at that point. So I was able to then move to Texas to be able, from Rhode Island, to then go work for this company. Throughout my journey as well too, at every hotel and every job I've ever worked at, there's always been some other alumni from Johnson & Wales there. So I've been able to connect with them, whether it was a chef, whether it was somebody in the housekeeping department, the sales department, in another part of my organization. I've always had a connection there to be able to kind of grasp to and relate to as well. And in my current job right now, the only reason I ever applied to Booking.com was because in my, I believe it was in my junior year, somebody from Booking.com came and spoke and held the networking event in one of my classes to teach us how to offer an elevator speech. When I was ready to move out of the industry of operations, I was thinking, what's next? And that kind of popped into my head. And so that led me directly into my current job as well too.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Anybody else?
So I took a different path. I didn't do the corporate management training or Voyager, depending on the company that you work for. I went into a direct hire role, specifically with Hilton as a housekeeping manager. And I was able to do so because of the different internship opportunities that I had gained while at Johnson & Wales, each summer, really just trying to get experience in different things. But I think as for students who are looking to get into that next step, and it may not always be the ideal opportunity for you, but remembering that each opportunity is a learning lesson. In my role right now, I'm leveraging things that I've learned previously or different situations that I've come across simply because of the different experiences that I've had. So definitely being able to be a sponge and just soak in everything that you can, because that's definitely going to help leverage you to getting to that next step that you're looking for.
I like that. I like the idea of don't say no to anything, right? Just be open to possibilities and options and see where it takes you. I think Abby had her hand up next, and then Jason.
So I just wanted to make sure to mention IAEE again. So I had gotten my first job through the student chapter, being able to network through that. But then once I became a professional, all my supervisors were heavily involved in their professional development sectors. So for example, IAEE for those who focus on exhibits and sponsorships, and then PCMA is one for meeting planners. And so I was able to attend a lot of luncheons and the annual expo that happens with IAEE. And that really allowed me to move jobs and get promoted that way. And so this industry is a lot smaller than it seems. I meet a lot of people that also have come from Johnson & Wales or work with a lot of people from Johnson & Wales. And so we definitely have a unique offering because we have so much knowledge that we learn during the school time to take into the professional world. So I definitely encourage everyone to get involved in student chapters because they exist once you are a professional in your career path.
Great, thank you for sharing. Jason, go ahead, and then Damaris.
Okay.
Sorry.
So when I was back at Johnson & Wales in my senior year, we were using the 4-day work week, curricular week. I was actually working 35, 40 hours a week at a restaurant downtown at Empire. It was named at the time across from Trinity Repertory Theater. And as I was converting out of, getting ready to graduate, I took on a larger role. I was fortunate enough that when I had just finished up at Johnson & Wales was right around 9/11. And what happened there was they kind of cleaned house, but they kept me, and they decided to say, all right, we're going to put our eggs in this kid's basket, even though I was raw as raw could be coming out of school, because, everybody wants somebody with experience, but they liked how I would put myself in the middle of everything. And even when I was in charge of the schedule, where I was weak, I scheduled myself. So I never understood the server mentality. I put myself on Sunday nights to serve in the worst section possible because I needed that. Then bartending. So then from there, my next job, I wanted to do New York City. So I applied for Ruth Chris Steakhouse in New York City in Manhattan. And because the combination of having a college degree and being well-rounded, because I put myself out there from the previous job, I worked very quickly into becoming the corporate trainer for Ruth Chris, everybody in front of the house, whether it be servers, bartenders, host. So it led me to that. And it actually took away my fear because I just kept putting myself out there and said, you know what, I have to learn this. And to really, really have to manage a person in a position, you have to wear their shoes. And if I could ever stress anything is that if you're going to lead a group, please understand their position and understand them as a person. You'll get a lot more out of them. And if you can teach a person basically to row in the same direction, you're going to get much more success.
That's really great advice. Damaris, you had your hand up earlier. Did you want
Yes. Yes, John, I just wanted to share. So my time at Johnson & Wales, my sophomore year, I was doing my concentration in tour and travel. In my sophomore year, I started to work for the internship program under the leadership of Michael Sabatoni, Kathy Drohan, Professor Davin, et cetera. So I was going to school full-time, and I was also working full-time at the airport, where we had to have a rotation floor for the interns, the travel interns that will come in and kind of do their degree or their program at travel. I feel that job in sophomore year, I was sharpened my skills not only in customer service, but really provided the right structure, because I was getting up at 5 a.m. to go to the airport at 6 a.m. so I can be ready for the 6 a.m. American Airlines flight, and welcoming the customers that, had questions about luggage, losing their luggage, am I going to miss my flight? So I was going to school, and I was also working for the school, and I was also sharpening my hospitality skills all into one, which I felt like that really prepared me for customer service questions that would appear in my first job. So it's just kind of, it goes back to someone mentioned saying yes, making yourself available, and, just working hard because the right people are always watching.
I think that's great advice. And so some of the things I'm hearing to wrap it up this first question is, obviously connection with alumni and networking within our university, leveraging professional associations, being open to experiences, knowing what everybody does so that you can support them, connect with them, empathize with them, and lead them is important, as well as, taking this opportunity to learn structure and discipline and really how to be a professional. Martin, did you want to chime in as well?
Yeah, kind of the different directions that anybody can pursue, regardless of the vertical that they're attracted to. Your first step is one of a combination of pieces. One, it's immersion into the organization, the culture, the understanding of what's considered maybe human capital, and your peers and your coworkers and so forth. The immersion of what that culture is and how you support and assist one another, because at the end of the day, it's the guest experiential journey. And when you tap into that as a individual as well as a community, what you're really doing is creating memories of life for everybody. If you take a moment and you think about everything significant in your life, there's some type of whining and or dining involved. Even if it's a bad day and you want to get with somebody to kind of share that because you're looking for support, understanding, or maybe even feedback, 99% of the time it's around that. The second piece is really the cultivation of yourself, your skill set, your brand, your development. Whether it's Jason or whether it's Damaris, right? The skills that you will, and you want to be absolutely focused on being a master of the skills before you move on. A lot of people will touch a skill and they feel they have that, and then when they have to apply it in a broad scope or share it with somebody else, they have difficulties. Really master the different areas that you touch and be part of that before you move on. And that'll be, that first part of your career is really the understanding and the foundation that'll help you. Sean, you do articulate the importance of professionalism and, the importance of being on time and being dependable and being a good listener, right? Or being somebody that is approachable. Those are the first pieces that really are the foundation for you to be able to grow and take other opportunities. Because if you look at all of that, when you're focused on it and you achieve it, you actually position yourself as the candidate of choice for the next opportunity. And that's what you're doing, is you want to be operating where when the opportunity arises, you're the default choice because you potentially are doing part of that already, or you've already validated that you have the mindset, you have the opportunity to develop and grow however necessary for the next position.
I think that's great to hear. I always say, if you can't teach someone to do it, then you don't know it well enough, right? So be able to teach it. And that's actually a good test as well, how much you know something. Moving on to the next question. Martin teed it up really well. You talk about journey. We talk about the hospitality guest journey. Let's talk about your journey. We'd like to know more about, was there a subject matter here at Johnson & Wales or a skill set that you learned that really was pivotal? Maybe you still use it to this day. And are there things, or I should say, or are there skills or subject matters that you kind of wish you knew when you first started getting out there?
Yeah, the first piece is we are, whether we're at the school or whether we're in the classroom or lab, we are still students of life. And if the view and the vision isn't a constant evolution of learning and growing and understanding, we're falling outside of the actual industry spectrum and the curve that's happening. Right? Whether it's cultures that come together, whether it's different types of cuisines, whether it's different types of service. If you think about in a simplicity aspect, pre-COVID, the average delivery percentage within the business environment was about 8 to 10%. Today, in less than call it a 30-month period, it's 50% across the spectrum. And whether we're delivering to a hotel room, right? Because we don't have room services anymore, whether it's delivering to a home, whether it's delivering to a field or a park, or whether it's kits that people can go take a picnic with. We, as in our sector, we have to be students forever. It's an always evolving opportunity. We're students of the people we meet. We're students of the guest. We're students of the different cuisines and fruits and vegetables and plant-based product, right? Or whatever. That's one of the key components that, as a student of Johnson & Wales, I was very blessed. I remember Chef Haddad, working on my knife skills with me. And he's like, you can do this. You're very proficient at it. Now you need to teach others. And then we would do, and we'd go make, caramelized garlic wings for everybody. Whatever that is, we need to constantly be a student. The pieces that I wish the curriculum touched base on and was more robust with is the human resource aspect of it. Because no matter what you do, no matter where you ascend within your career, it'll always be about the community. The other piece is the analytics. And I know there was some discussion that, talked about analytics. Even the analytics that all of the robust POS systems have today, and being able to understand that so that you can help the team prepare and be able to perform appropriately based on, anticipated X, Y, and Z. Those are two pieces that I would really like to see much more robust in the curriculum for the students that are coming in today, because that is never going to change. If you don't understand, basic cash flow, if you don't understand, what a dollar means, and you don't understand how to analyze the business volume, you're not going to be able to achieve. It's going to create a lot of roadblocks.
Great advice, Martin. Damaris, what did you have to say?
Just kind of thinking back to my international hotel and tourism degree, I felt like, I know Johnson & Wales opened the doors for me to travel internationally. Before that, I had never traveled outside from my native country to the United States. And participating in the tour and travel program, we took our first trip to Italy. It was like my first time out of the United States. And then joining the international program under the leadership of Professor Davin, we went into Switzerland, where I studied abroad in a hotel that was run by, serviced by, everything was by international students from around the world. I mean, here I am, kind of, an individual woman that came from very small beginnings, and here I am in the middle of the world in Switzerland with travelers from all over the world, students from all over the world. I feel like that for me made a huge impact in my career. It exposed me to so many things. It opened the doors for me to really pursue my passion and work with an international company such as Marriott International that really enabled me to continue to travel and extend my horizon and meet international friends from other countries. I mean, one of my best friends is from India, and I was in her wedding. I wore the whole thing. I mean, it was just something that, looking back, the exposure that Johnson & Wales has provided to me professionally and again, personally, it's just something that I would never forget. And really, I felt like it propelled my career to not be shy to communicate with someone from another country, to not be shy to travel to another country, and really has really made me a traveling vagabond around the world. So I'm very forever grateful for that opportunity. And where I sit today, having that global telescope was kind of my experiences. I mean, Johnson & Wales with that professional degree was really helpful. So I just wanted to share that.
I appreciate that. That traveling is it's like an addiction, right? Once you get your feet wet, you just can't stop. Aaron, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll be brief. I got a combination of what Martin had alluded to in Damaris is from Johnson & Wales University, what I think is a separator is application. And so on one side, it's being prepared and understanding and being an expert as you go throughout. The other side is how many times can you apply the learnings that you have in real time, especially with us being in hospitality. And like in my career, I started out serving to Levy, which Martin had worked for, but I was ordering food. I was delivering food courtside and on the club level. I got a job at the movie theaters because I needed to understand the box office, and working behind the concession stand to understand the pinpoints of what people wanted when they came in and what that desired experience is. And it's the application of those. And so when you take your learning that you get from Johnson & Wales, you then mix that with the application, whether that is provided through the university or not. Some that were provided, we had a green crew where you could go and you could pick up trash and you can recycle for the Denver Broncos on game day. Like, it was a great understanding of how an organization is run from top to bottom. You get to interact with those who are walking around in suits and fancy shoes and whatnot. And then you're out in the parking lot understanding like what that experience actually feels like with the fans. And so that's one thing that I'll just add is like that immediate application is going to do major things for you as you go throughout. As we talked, Jason in the previous segment said, you know, until you've done the job, like you as a student get a chance to do a ton of jobs in a short amount of time and it not be held against you, or you're not down this career route. So like take advantage of that and figure out how you can apply what you're learning in real time.
I love it. I love it. Nothing beats real world application of things that you're trying to learn, right? Jason, go ahead. And then Julia.
So, you know, one of the biggest tools, well, two things. When I was in culinary, we had to do it was a beverage class, and they did a bench test basically, where mixology, it was the mixology class that we did for culinary. And that class, when you have to perform and execute under dim lighting, loud music, it was a fun exercise. But the truth is, you know, about life, nothing really ever happens bad in a calm setting. It's, you know, when you have a customer or a guest in your face and things are getting heated in the experiences, it is so hard to emulate that. You know, I heard I was reading a book the other day, and the guy says, when tension is high, logic is low. And what happens is you lose your train of thought, and you lose, sometimes professionalism can go out the door. And you have to understand that when a customer or a employee is really coming at you and needs help and understanding, you know, by keeping calm and understanding and looking at the whole landscape, and you can work your way through it. You have to be that calm in the storm for your fellow employees. You have to be that calm when a customer is losing their mind on you. That's something that Johnson & Wales didn't really, like, they brushed upon it, but didn't really, it was impossible for them to kind of set you up for that. You know, understanding people and the way that their mannerisms and story, you can see when a customer is elevated, you can see when a guest is elevated and they want to fight. And you know that you're getting really good at your career when you don't have to raise your voice, you don't have to puff out your chest, you remain calm and professional, and you take them off that ledge and you make them feel good. You know you're really good when you don't have to give away the house and you make them feel good too at the same time. You know, that was one of the things that I wish I got away from Johnson & Wales. And second was the importance of Spanish and being bilingual. If I had known now how important Spanish was to my career, even today, I have Spanish employees. I have every kitchen I walk in, this Spanish speaking person. You know, we teach our employees that, because I'm in the sales aspect, when you walk in the kitchen, whether it is the person that's sweeping the floor, washing dishes, you say hello to them, because in 2 years, that person could be the executive chef and you could be making deals with them. You make them feel good, they'll make you feel good. And they don't forget that. You know, I remember days when I was just starting out as a manager, and the people that kind of took pity on me, I made a lot of mistakes as a kid, but I remember those people and the people that took me under their wing and said, all right, you know, you handled the situation good, but this is how you could have handled it better. You have to appreciate those situations.
Now, you know, Tony's not here, but he talked about emotional intelligence, and there's another concept called emotional agility, and being able to handle those emotions in hospitality, very, very important. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Juliana.
Thank you. So one thing I find interesting about Johnson & Wales University that differentiates itself from others is that students there have the opportunity to build their path to graduation. With most universities, you have a very linear path to what comes next. But here you have the opportunity to kind of craft your own journey, whether that be through an internship, which you have multiple opportunities to do. And I think that that is one crucial thing that kind of sets it apart and gives you leverage moving forward. And I highly recommend that everybody truly take advantage of that, because that's time for you to really leverage what your interests are and really go for it. Try different experiences. And as you're doing that, begin to think about what your end goal would be. And that end goal would always be after graduation. What is going to be your first job, or what's going to be, what first job do you need to get to your second one? But you want to begin while you're in the university, building that goal path, so you can begin to think about what it is that you really want, whether that's professionally following a passion, or whether that's a career that really fits into a lifestyle that you're looking for very specifically. Really begin to think about that end goal, because that end goal in sight is what you're going to need to really focus on as you build and craft your career. You can't build a bridge without, putting the end in sight. And you can take any way to get there, but you need to make sure that you begin to think about what it is that you're really looking for to get out of. And the university is the perfect time to really explore and be curious, and really look into what it is that could look like.
I love that, Julia. As a dad, I'm going to speak like this, right? It's like Legos. You don't start with the end. You have 1,400 pieces you got to put together, and they go in a sequence. And so having a plan, just like a career, having a plan for that is really, really important. And hopefully meeting with people like yourselves or faculty, they can do that. So that was really great advice. Thank you. Arnaldo's last one for this question.
Thank you. I think one of my biggest takeaways, and I had tons of takeaways from my time at the university, but one of the biggest ones was the tough conversations that I had with Professors Koski, Zakili, Silva. Sometimes you need a bit of a shakeup, a bit of a wake-up call as you transition out of your academic career and into the professional world. Those tough conversations come and happen fast and frequently. And a true test of a person's care and passion for you and your growth is not allowing you to slide, not allowing you to just kind of pass the grade just to move you on and be a number on the board. The folks at Johnson & Wales, the experience that I shared that resonates with me in every aspect of about both my personal and my professional life, and I tremendously value those tough conversations. Professors Akili and Koski and Silva, who are here now, my love and appreciation for you and your care for me has been tremendous as I continue to grow and find success in this industry. So thank you for that.
Oh, that's a music to my ears. Be tough. All right, that's good. I like it. A dream crusher, remember? All right, we have time for one question more, and it's going to have to be kind of like just a list, a couple of things. You don't have to elaborate. But the last question I have is if you had to give your advice to the students entering the industry, and you said, hey, if you have these three things, like a KSA, what knowledge, skills, something like that, what should they have? I mean, they have to have this, right? In order to break into the industry and be successful, say, in the first 5 years. What are those things? Ronaldo, did you raise your hand again? Or did you?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Creativity, ambition, tenacity, and staying power. Those are the things that, for me, helped drive and move me and kind of help me shine in my career as we go forward. I'll leave it at that because I know our time is.
No, that's great. No, that's actually perfect. Thank you. Lexine, and then Abby.
I would say confidence in yourself is 100% the most important thing. I would also say resiliency. That's something that you absolutely need in this industry. Creativity as well too, and compassion for yourself, for the people you're working for the guest as well too. That's going to take you an extra mile. And the last thing is definitely prioritization and organization. You're not going to be successful if you don't have your priorities in order for your future, for your job, for your personal life, and organization in everything that you do, because that's going to set you up for success.
Yeah, it's great. Go ahead, Abby.
I would say willingness to do any job, no matter the task. Communication, ask a lot of questions. and timeliness. That goes off the prioritizing what you're doing, making sure that you're communicating, you're willing, and you're timely, you'll be successful.
That's great. Aaron, I looks like everybody's doing, so just gonna go through the list here. Aaron.
I'll be quick. First one is know your why. What makes you tick? Build a network, proactive learning, and be human. You're going to make mistakes. They're not fatal. Continue to move past them. As long as you learn from them, then they're not a mistake.
Jason.
So on top of what everybody else is saying, have an action plan for your life, basically. Know what you want to do. Make a chart for yourself. How are you going to get there? And give yourself a timeline and when you feel like you should accomplish that, because we get lost and we get comfortable. And what you need to know is you got to know when to say when and when to push hard. And what everybody else said too, I believe what everybody else said on this panel.
Oh, that's great. And Monet, thanks for raising your hand. I was going to call on you anyway. So before we get to Martin, though, reminder for everybody who's listening, in the Q&A portion at the bottom of your screen, feel free to add some questions there. So when we get to the Q&A portion in a couple of seconds here, we can ask some good questions for you. Martin, go ahead.
I would echo, three buckets are a little difficult because they also they evolve as you and your career evolve. But you need to have a vision, and you may not achieve your vision, but you need to have a vision. You need to be participatory. You are the leader of your journey. No one else is responsible for that. A simple example is you're paying a tuition to get and receive 100% an A. You pay for that. Your return on the investment is whatever you achieve. C, B, whatever class that is. But you invested 100% of your finances to achieve an A. And then the last is the appreciation of time. I'm probably going to ruin a lot of people's view, but our most precious commodity is time. It's the only thing we can't make, we can't buy. Once we invest it, we never get it back. And it is the delineation of our life's journey. So make sure you appreciate time of yours and time of others.
Like that. Thank you, Martin. Juliana.
Great. So if I had three just pinpoints, I would say be curious, be driven, and then be flexible. If your plan A doesn't work out, commit to your plan B and make that the plan that's the best plan for you.
I love that. Being able to adjust on the fly. Damaris.
What you put in is what you get. I mean, you come into Johnson & Wales, some people are saying, no, Johnson & Wales is Johnson & Wales. I put in a lot of investment in Johnson & Wales, and all those seeds that I planted are now big trees and really providing a lot of fruit for me. So definitely what you put in is what you get. Protect your brand. What I mean by that is you are a representation of yourself everywhere you go. Protect your brand, protect your name. Make sure that when someone is saying your name, they know that you have substance behind yourself. So whether you're starting a new job, make sure you protect that brand by believing in yourself, having the confidence to carry it through and protect it with everything you can, because that is your job for the rest of your career, is you and what you put in your brand. And then lastly, challenge yourself. We get comfortable in our own environment. I myself like to move jobs every 2 years within Marriott or whatever, but I like to shake it up. I like to shake it up because it exposes me to different opportunities. You get comfortable and then you kind of miss out on other opportunities. So challenge yourself, protect your brand, and what you put in is what you get. That's it. Thanks.
Love it. Last but definitely not least, Monet.
Echoing what everyone said, I think it's very important for you to have a vision, having some sort of idea of where you want to go. You've already started that process by being involved in Johnson & Wales and attending the university and starting your collegiate career that way. Secondly, growing your network. I've always been taught to have a mentor, but most recently, and I'm living true to this, is also having a sponsor, someone who's going to have your name and be in circles and rooms that you may not necessarily be able to get into, so that when you are looking for that next role, that person can be there and advocate for you in addition to your mentor to help to prepare you to get to where you'd like to go. And lastly, don't forget to celebrate your small wins. Not everything is going to go the way that you'd like for it to, but at least celebrating those small wins and building that up for the large win, that's definitely going to be a huge motivator for you and help you along the way.
Those are all great things. And I'm just going to throw this out to the group. Thank you, Lexine, reminding all of you who are watching. You may not have the chat open. So if you don't, you're being reminded and encouraged to find these guys on LinkedIn, stalk them and add them. They are here for you. But let's get to some of the questions here. Let's see here. First and foremost, you guys talk a lot about getting after it, working hard, having goals. How do you have fun too? How did you balance having fun and being a college kid with growing your brand and having goals and vision? So Damaris, go ahead.
I like to make business and pleasure. What I mean by that is I work for the largest travel company in the world. So if I am traveling for business to visit a client, I pack an extra pair of fun clothes and I'll invite friends. I mean, I have the Johnson & Wales community is so wide and broad, and I invite friends, and then, you know, we can really take advantage of that destination. And sometimes I even have families just come and join me. So also taking advantage of our, you know, our hotel space and being our own ambassador of our own brands really helps kind of have fun while you're working as well.
That's great. That's great. Just quickly to answer a quick question, Aaron's working for the NHL League office for that person who asked that question. Go ahead, Monet.
Piggybacking, just making sure that you're, you know, prioritizing your time and managing things accordingly. Have fun. You know, we are in the travel industry and you want to take advantage of all the perks that are afforded to you.
Without balance and fun, you burn out. Lexine, go ahead.
A lot of what I have to do for my job in account management for Booking.com, I get to travel as well too. And I get to go to the hotels and be able to be there and learn about the hotels. The other perk with it is that a lot of us working for major hotel brands too, you get free nights throughout your year when you hit like your first year, your second year. So you're able to utilize that and then see it all over the world. You can mix business with pleasure, like Damaris said. Like last weekend, I'm in Providence right now. I went into Boston and I've been going in every month and going to different locations in Boston to see my hotels while still staying there and meeting up with friends for drinks. So there's always a way to be able to work and play all at the same time too.
I think that's the hospitality way, right? Mixing business with pleasure. Go ahead, Jason.
I'm fortunate enough in my position where the owner of my company believes in trying out our products. So I actually get paid to go eat at all our customers. So my wife's actually capitalizing on it too, but it took a long time to get this position, but we also go out, and part of our jobs is that we are, we help our chefs get through, you know, periods of time when they need a seasonal change or something like that. So I'm a food nerd. I love food. You could give me a streetcar on the side of the road and I'll try something. But that's a good way that I've been able to incorporate it, you know. But the funny thing is, as we get older, you know, you have food and alcohol. For me to have the longevity, the alcohol's gone away and the food is the primary. And, you know, I got to take care of ourselves now.
Yeah. I know that, get into your 40s and that's what happens.
Yeah.
Arnaldo.
Working in this industry, obviously, you work with a lot of folks. You kind of start forming your social group around the people you work with because you're with them so often. Become an extension of your family. And so, you know, while you're working, you develop these relationships, and you're having fun while you're working, and you're doing a lot of the cool things that you'd want to do with your friends, you know, from years past, with the people that you're close with. So don't discount the network, the close network that you have with you, and also plan ahead. I plan my vacations out even 2 years out to make sure that I'm taking care of myself and my family. Although yeah, we work and we go at light speed, there's a lot of fun and a lot of good times to be had while you're going at a high pace.
Yeah, I think that's great. And there was a question here about internships, but I think just briefly want to address that. Many of you had mentioned that you did internships, but I heard a theme of you don't have to have an internship to gain experience. Go out there and get a job. work at a front desk, work at a movie theater, wait tables, bartend, immerse yourself in hospitality so you understand the consumer behavior, understand what it takes to solve problems and work on a team and do all sorts of things. It doesn't have to come from a formal internship. Is that a generally accepted answer there? Yeah, and don't get me wrong, internships are important. I don't think they're not important, but I think that you don't have to rely just on the internship. I do want to spend some time on this question. As we got back to school this fall, back to quote, very quote, normal, we had students on campus, but some of our students hadn't been here for a year and a half, 2 years. Some of them this is their first time coming to campus, and they're sophomores, second semester sophomores, first semester juniors. So I guess the question really is, what would be your recommendation for a student who is late to the game, so to speak, with really capitalizing on the culture of Johnson & Wales and networking and things like that because of COVID? Jason, go ahead.
Well, I feel for you right now. And actually, we had to move during this transition during COVID, and my daughter had to go to elementary school, and she'd been the same kids for 4 years, and now fourth grade, spent half the year out. Fifth grade now, it's starting to feel normal. Students right now, you have to really put yourself out there. You have to be more social than you ever have before. You're in the hospitality industry. Not everything's going to happen over a phone. You're going to have to face your fears, or if you don't have a fear, you have to be present when you speak to somebody. You have to go back to the old school, making eye contact, repeat people's names. You have to go back and understand that you have to get that genuine feel back into a conversation, because that's the secret of hospitality. If you're genuine in whatever you do, you're probably going to be very successful and honest. You have to get back into putting yourself out there.
Good point. Lexi.
Yeah, definitely agree with that, Jason, 100%. I myself have been virtual from home. I've met my people in my office maybe 3 times in the past 2 years. So I understand how you're feeling for sure. I would say taking every opportunity that comes to you, like we've said before, any club that you may slightly be interested in. If there's an event going on for school, go to it. If there's a dance they hold, a social, if there's a networking event, if there is some type of community outreach, a sports game, go to it. Put yourself out there. And even if it's not something that you thought that you would be interested in, just go. And you might meet people that you haven't met before and enjoy something that you might not have. And if you're in Providence too, this is such an amazing place to live and such an amazing place to go to school. There's so many places that you can go that are within your budget as well too, as a college student, and so many free things to do in Providence and throughout Rhode Island as well. Take the RIPTA, go to Newport for the weekend, go do something fun. You just got to look for those opportunities. You can't seclude yourself into your own small sector too.
Thank you. Abby.
Yeah, definitely echoing Jason and Lexine. You just have to show up. So unfortunately, virtual is a part of the world now. And so showing up virtually or in person, just make the point to go out there, find what you're interested in and show up for it. There are so many apps and focus groups, there's meetups, there's Facebook groups that you can have your focus areas on and join those groups and then post and say what you're interested in and get people to join you, whether it's virtually or in person. Being a part of this industry though, we do need to get back to in person, and showing up and being happy to be there and just taking any precaution that you feel most comfortable with is going to be number one.
That's great. And because of time limits, Aaron, you are our last.
I got a challenge, so good thing I am last. I think this is a unique opportunity for you to create. The challenge is not unique to Johnson & Wales University. It's a challenge that is unique to our industry and to our world. And so I challenge somebody who's listening to this, somebody who is participating, to go out there and create what is that next avenue that you can begin to develop relationships. I think the clubs is one way to start to get some of that commonality, but I can guarantee you the person who creates what that looks like is going to have tremendous upside in this industry and their career going forward. So I challenge this group to really get out there and be creative and think about, like, there's nothing that you can't do right now. There's somebody out there thinking about how to develop. So why wait for that engine to happen when you can do it yourself? I'm big on betting on yourself, and like you have your answer. You are the answer. And so if you want to put some time and attention to that, like don't let it be because of COVID that you don't sit down with your professors and you don't have a deeper relationship. Don't be it because of COVID that you didn't go out and join a club or a sports team. Like let's remove all of the excuses. And like because of COVID, you did what? And that's my challenge to this group.
Wow, that's a really great advice from all of you. Just get out there and get after it. Thank you so much, alumni, for taking the time to be with us. Clearly, your knowledge and experiences that you've shared are inspiring and really, really greatly appreciated. We hope that you remain connected with us. We're super proud of you, students. Those of you who are listening in, I hope you found this information insightful and helpful for navigating not only the start but your entire career path. But this does conclude today's session. And we know that even though this session was virtual and you didn't get to mingle and exchange business cards, I'll repeat what Lexine said, was get out there and connect with these guys on LinkedIn so you can continue to evolve in these conversations and perhaps even get a mentor out of the deal. So we thank you all for attending, and that concludes.
Before we conclude, may I recommend that if you do
Sure.
connect to the panel on LinkedIn, please identify that you're with the university or your student. We do get some invites that don't necessarily wanted. So if it's obviously something we know, it's a lot easier for us to go ahead and make those connections.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, so make sure your LinkedIn profile is up to date with where you go to school and who you are. I'm sure I speak for a lot of people where I get LinkedIn requests and I'm like, who is this person? Where are you from? Why are we even connected? So yeah, so make sure you make that known. Thank you, everybody, again. We really appreciate your time. And to the students, hopefully you'll be in class for our next session at 1 o'clock. So thank you. All right, so.
Alums, if you can just hang on the line for one moment.
Still recording.